My name is Aska Hisa, and I am the Director of Learning and Engagement here at what is this place? ICALA, Institute of Contemporary Art, Los Angeles. This program is part 2 of a 2-part offering to learn about and celebrate Horace Tapscott. Last Saturday at Inner City Arts, an arts education organization for youth that's just down the street, we screened the wonderful biographical documentary film, Horace Tapscott Musical Griot by Barbara McCullough, who is here this evening. When that film screens again, and we hope that's real soon, please try to catch it. It's not available on Netflix or Amazon Prime. You have to catch it. So I want to also give you a little more information about the inspiration behind these events, which we organized around the theme of transmissions. Horace Tapscott is an inspiring figure for the Houston-based artist Jamal Cyrus, whom ICALA is currently showing with the mid-career survey called Jamal Cyrus, The End of My Beginning. So if you haven't already done so, we hope that you can go and see the exhibition after this talk and take it in, because the artist's work resonates so profoundly with the work and spirit of Horace Tapscott. They both happen to be born in Houston, but more importantly perhaps, both promote the transmission of knowledge, history, and Black cultural power to the people through their art. And that commitment extends to this group here and to many in the audience. Transmissions are cool. We've provided you all with some yellow sheets that have all of their bios, so please read the bios. We're not going to read them up here so we can get to the event. The essence is basically each of them is awesome. So to close my intro, I just want to have a few announcements relayed that are related to Horace Tapscott. The Pan Afrikan Peoples Arkestra, the full ARC, will be performing live at Red Cat up at Disney Hall on Saturday, June 4th at 8:30 p.m. So get your tickets now. Mike Sonksen, our moderator, is coming out with an article on Tapscott and the ARC for Alta magazine, so look out for that. There are wonderful documentaries online on the ARC, notably an Emmy Award-winning one on KCT's Artbound, co-produced by our friends at Dublab, titled The New West Coast Sound. And it features many of our panelists, and it gives you a great dip into the legacy of LA's jazz history and its current scene. Okay, I also have to give an announcement for ICALA. Our biannual legendary art sale, Incognito, is happening on May 7th. You could score an original Jamal Cyrus piece and or a work by one of the over 300 artists who are participating. They are so generous to do so, and it's really an amazing event. So get your tickets for that, too. I want to close with thanks. Special thanks to Steve Asoardi for his great advice on this panel. Thanks to Barbara McCullough for screening the film. And thank you to the panelists for agreeing to be a part. Thank you to Isabella Parlamas, his ICALA staff and board. Thank you all for your support, because just being here means so much. And thanks to, finally, thanks to Renee Wilcox and the Horace Tapscott family for their blessing. Happy birthday, Horace. All right. Before we start this discussion, it's appropriate to show Horace. And so we have a couple of short clips to share with you of Horace Tapscott and also the ARC and their recent performance in LA. Hold on, I'm going to go get the lights.
Sometimes it don't make you a lot of money, you understand? But it does make for a life that if you had to live again, you'd probably live it the same way.
So that's a clip from our friends at Jazz is Dead. Art Don't Sleep. They just produced a performance in Highland Park at the Lodge Room. It was really good. So, and the first clip was from musical Horace Tapscott musical Griot, the film by Barbara McCullough. So, welcome panelists. Come on over. Take a seat.
Happy birthday, Horace. Let's give it up for Horace's birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
I think with our questions, we're going to start. We're going to start from Kamau and come this way. So, right off the bat. Also, folks, if you get a chance, please do see Barbara McCullough's film. It is really elegant and beautiful. And one more time for Barbara, because I saw Saturday. And, elegance. It was just an incredible film. So, Kamau, tell us about how does the community arts spirit inform you as a poet?
Basically, you know, I, at an early age, late teens, 17, 18, 19, you know, I got involved in the Watts Writers Workshop, and around the same time, they had this radio program, Greg's Refresher Course, and I think Michael mentions this too, by Ahmad Kufahamu, that used to put this very progressive music on Saturdays, you know, and I used to even tape them. So one day, I was on Vernon near Crenshaw, and I was hitchhiking. You could do that without getting chopped up into little pieces back in those days. You know, and this cat in this white Jag pulls up and gets in, and I jump in his car. I say, I'm going down to Vermont, man. He said, that's cool, man. And he said, he gives me a flyer, and it was about the last Sunday of the month concerts. You know, the Society for the Preservation of Black Music. And it was Kufahamu, it was Gray, the cat that was on the radio. So it was like, man, all this stuff, you know, how this stuff hook up like this, you know, I jump in the car. So, you know, so I became a groupie, you know, every time there was a concert there, last Sunday of the month concert, I was there, you know, I was there, you know. Now, you know, I was always writing poems. And then when we used to celebrate Malcolm X's birthday, and you know, we'd stay out of school. If we were in school, we wouldn't go to school. We'd just go to the park, South Park. And so I was out there with some of my poetry, and Ted Jones, who was kind of one of the main archivists for the ARC during that time. Archivists, not, you know, the archives, you know. You know, and he seen me out there with the poetry, and Ted Jones is Lena Horne's son, and he said he went over there on the stage, and Horace and them was playing, and he said something to Horace, and the next thing I know, I'm 18 years old, and I'm on the stage with the 14-piece band behind playing John Coltrane's Equinox, and I'm reading my poem. And from then on, you know, I was drafted into the ARC. And what I learned by standing next to these giant spirits, you know, I mean, has enriched my life so much. I see, look, John Coltrane's calling me.
Let's take a moment with that.
So, you know, I'm just saying, you know, like, man, I mean, Papa Horace Tapscott, there were times he was my big brother. Sometimes he pat me on my knees, tell me, have you ever seen a Negro? Patting me on my knee. You know, next time, you know, I'm sitting down there talking about some personal stuff that's happening in my life with tears in my eyes, and he's like a father figure to me. And the Tapscott family is there, and I'm not the only one coming in and out of these doors. You know, I'm saying, and experiencing all that love. And this ark was, it was held together by a spiritual head. We didn't have Robert's Rules of Order or non-profit status or this, that, and the other. It was just a light of the spirit in these elders and their openness to this young generation, you know, there for us. It wasn't about money, maybe even to a fault. But I'm saying, but grounding us in community and grounding us in sharing the message that was passed to them from somebody. They gave it to us, and our responsibility to pass it forward. I mean, I could talk forever, you know, so I'm gonna pass the mic.
Folks, you got to get the language of saxophones, man. Kamau's book. Check it out.
Yeah.
And also co-founder of the World Stage, man, Kamau.
Billy Higgins.
Man. And right next to Kamau is the longtime bassist, Roberto Miranda. Mr. Miranda, tell us about the first time you met Horace and how you started in the Ark.
It was 1964, 65. I was 19 years old. And I met Bobby Bradford, John Carter, and Horace Tapscott all, I think, in the same week. And I played with Horace until he passed. I played with John until he passed. And I still play with Bobby every once in a while. So, yeah. What Horace did for me was he was this respected, not only successful, but excellent. The difference between excellence, or rather success and excellent being really important here. But this excellent musician who took the time to love me and trust me. And he respected me. And he said, "Youngblood, I see and I hear what you're doing. I love it. Let me do everything I can to nourish that." And man, there it is. And there it was, and there it still is. You dig? I never wanted to be a teacher. All I wanted to do was play and compose. But through Horace and Bob and John, and even through Kenny Burrell later on in my life, the Lord just made me a teacher. So I taught at Compton College for 5 years, USC for 5 years, been at UCLA for 25 years, and I taught with LA Unified for 24 years. I have private students. And this is something that I never wanted to do, and the Lord just said, no, you're gonna do this. And Horace really nourished that, because Horace was a teacher, man. And the way he taught, as I say, was by loving, respecting, trusting, and I might add, giving opportunity to the young musicians to express themselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, yeah. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, man. Up next, we're going to hear from Miss Jemita Rose. Jemita, you know, I remember hearing you in the poetry community, and now you have the Voices of Creation. And talk to us about the Voices of Creation and your work and your connection to the community arts.
Well, first off, let me just say I feel very honored to be here sitting amongst these giant pillars in our community. And being championed with the responsibility to become a giant pillar in our community. And so answering the call in your life looks like trusting, respecting, and loving yourself and others. And so for me, I think music got to be a bit too much about competition. And it was disheartening because it's something that I just love to do. It's almost like, you know, let's all splash paint on this page together and see what we come out with. And it didn't feel like that, singing solo. And so I was really contemplating not singing, and I realized that that was kind of like an existential crisis. You know, I was like, I've always sung, I really don't know what else to do. And so I got quiet and I started to hear songs about community and to hear songs about things getting better despite things maybe not seeming that way then. And I formulated my mind to start a choir, and I said, you know, I want to start a choir, and I want it to be non-profit based. We're just going to sing, and it ended up taking off into what it is, to where we're going to have an album coming out. We were honored to play with the Ark on New Year's Eve at Grand Park for New Year's, for their celebration, and actually a song that I wrote. And so it's just like witnessing yourself become someone that someone can look up to, because you look up to someone. And I remember being a child going to the African marketplace when it was at Exposition Park or when it was at Dorsey, and that leaving impressions on me. You know, I was a church kid. I didn't grow up jazz, but jazz is where my voice and my heart led me, you know. But I mean, I would hear this expression and I would be like, man, it's so free, it's so black, it's so me, it's so everybody out here. I just remember the smells, the textures, the clothes, and it was me, and I kept it. And I didn't even know I kept it until I found it later. And I found it afar, and it brought me back to Horace Tapscott. And so I feel honored to be here, representing divine feminine energy as well, and as well as just seeing that the future is all of us together, and that community is not far. You can build one when you don't see it, and then it'll magnetize your tribe to you. And so I feel like that is my journey with the Voices of Creation. And I look forward to much more with the Ark. Like, I just got crowned an honorary member. So, you know, I was the person.
Honorary?
I was the friends on the flyer, if anybody was wondering. I was friends. No, just playing. Tonight I got my crown. I got my official, you know, I'm not just standing on the side,
Ark.
tag me in.
Ark.
Yeah.
Right here.
And,
forever.
And it's just honor. I was telling Robert at first, like, you know, to be here to celebrate a trailblazer, and we're still on the trail, you know, and we're still blazing, you know, it's beautiful. You heard the continuity of the sounds that they played, but that's our life force. That's what we are sitting here representing, and I'm just very happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. You know, Jemita, you know, also what we were saying earlier about the spiritual jazz, you mind saying something really briefly about that too? I love what you said.
Oh, you were talking about spiritual jazz, and I was like, yeah, I love to call it that. You were like, well, you know, it's more like soul music, and I was saying, well, soul music is it can be anything, because we all have a soul, right? But spiritual jazz is where it makes you vibrate higher. It makes you meditate and tap into the higher dimensions of yourself, and I think that that's what the difference is between, like, say, a soul song that's James Brown, and it's not negating that one is more important than the other, but it's talking about, if we're talking about a chakra system, you know, we're at the top in the spiritual jazz. And then, like, you get into the body, you get into the urges, but the spiritual jazz will remind you that, you know, this is more than that. We have more to explore of ourselves than that.
Man, I love that. That's, you know. We're going to take it to Mr. Mekala and the director of the Ark, Mr. Session. Man, talk to us about the community arts, but how it feels to be playing with your father and to be playing with these, you know, with these giants. Talk to us about that, man.
Yeah. Some of my earliest memories of the Ark are when my father used to bring me to rehearsals, or rehearsals would happen at the house that I lived in, but they would also happen at KF's house, or his like back house in the back of, there was like a back house that he was in. There were a lot of places actually that the Ark used to rehearse. Anyway, I'm like 4, 6, a child, a toddler sometimes, and I'd probably show up, try to, sit still for however long I could, and then wander outside and play in the backyard, kick a medicine ball around, or chase bugs, or whatever kids do. But I, always heard this music. So, they're at rehearsals, so sometimes over and over and over again. And this is over years. So when I joined the band when I was 13, a lot of these songs I already knew or just remember. So, I don't know, at 13, I didn't read music. I wasn't one of those kids reading music, so I was just playing from memory. Something I had kept doing that my high school band director was not too pleased about. Anyway, so from, I started playing drums at 1, started taking lessons with Billy Higgins at 3. So by the time I was 13, I had really been playing for about 10 years. Yeah, you laugh, I do realize that's kind of funny. But, man, I'm playing, the Red Cat at 15 with there's Azar Lawrence. Oh wow, that's Azar Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? There's Roberto Miranda. I've seen clips of him in Europe with Sonship Theus and my own father and people like Maya who were just coming from Chicago. I think our first 2 or 3 gigs were the same gigs. It was an incredible experience. Or someone like Randall Fisher, where he's 18 and I'm 13, 14, and him and I are still in the Ark. And we've kind of grown up together in this family, in this band. So now in any kind of leadership position where, it's up to me to call cats, to put together rehearsals, to find gigs, to organize, recordings or any of this stuff. It's an honor. And I do not do it alone. I still have, people like my father right behind me, or people like Fundi Lejean, just supporting me and growing up and knowing Horace Tapscott's music or knowing Jesse Sharp's music and loving it, and then seeing these people and then them telling me good job, Lil Mekala, you're doing the thing, you're really doing the going to Cal Arts and meeting incredible musicians my own. It was I went to an arts high school, but not too many people were into jazz. I was in jazz combo, but we're playing Monk and other stuff like classic pop, other jazz standards. But meeting other people in college who were no, this music is amazing. If they weren't aware, they were made aware, and it was just as important to them as it was to me. And so these people joined the Ark. Some of my best friends in school, who I met when I was a young adult, joined this family. And, to that same Jazz is Dead show, it was the bass player Jermaine Paul's first show, and this man was crying on stage, before we even played a note. They don't even have to understand it, they just feel it. It's felt, and then understood. So, what was your question again? It feels good. It feels really, really good to be in this band with my literal family and my friends and my friends' family and, people who are decades older than me or years younger, I want to go all around the world with this band. I want to have albums on songs, on recordings with this band and be this tribe of medicine men and women from my community and beyond. That's the goal. That's what we're doing here.
Man. Thank you, Mekala.
Thank
you. Mr. Michael Session, man, we talked about the generations and the connections, and I'm going to kind of ask you a couple questions here, but tell us about those first times you met Horace, and also how did you feel seeing Horace on that screen today and seeing him play?
It's always like yesterday. I mean, that's one of the hardest ones to grab that have left, and I still feel I could call them like they're still here. It's, let me see, what was your question?
Well, we'll start with the first time you met Horace, those early stories.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know I could talk forever, but I'll try to make this short. I started playing saxophone at 18. I became a radio, jazz, listening nut. From elementary to junior high and high school, I kept a radio. And I used to scat all the solos and fell in love with Coltrane. And I just became a scatter. And I knew about 8 years old, I had to grow up and get a saxophone. I couldn't ask my mother, for a horn. I knew I had to grow up and buy it myself. So I waited and waited. And finally got there. At 18, I bought a horn. And always listening to the radio. It got boring on KBCA 105. And I turned down the dial, and it was probably the same time Kamau was listening to KUSC on 95.1, whatever it was. I turned down there, and the music, it was like an Eric Dolphy tune or a Tapscott tune. And Kamau and the cat said, yeah, play some Horace Tapscott music, and I heard this music on the radio, and I said, oh, there's the real ghetto back street jazz that you don't hear so much on the radio. You hear the commercial stuff, but I heard he was playing all the real ghetto stuff, and I was like, whoa, there it is, right? And he says, Horace Tapscott, he plays some music, and said the band performs every last Sunday of the month at this high school where my sister went to the high school a mile away from where I lived. So I said, what? So I went to the first concert, and changed my life forever. Till this day, it changed my life. When I saw this band, there were drummers, dancers, did a portion. The art came out, young people, a little older people, and a little older people, and their talent was like there, but their spirit was all on the same level, way up here, each and every one of them. And when they played, and I got a row of friends, my hangout cats, we all go first time. And seeing all this happening, and the poet came out and did some words, when I think it was Kamau, he had just joined or what, and behind the music, then every soloist, it was so heavenly and spiritual. It's not like seeing a regular band. I went to many concerts, but when you went to see the Ark, it was so special. Everyone around you felt the same thing. And when you left the concert, everybody was like, I always said to myself, I could feel like I could pull down a telephone pole, because the spirit, the energy that you got from the Ark was just, it was tremendous. It just took over your body. All my friends, we all felt the same thing. And then when Horace came out at the end and said, hey, this is Pan Afrikan Peoples Arkestra, this is your band. I was like, wow. He said, this is your band. We're all Pan African people, and this is your band, so we'll do whatever you say. And you young cats, you got to come through here before you go anywhere else. And I just started playing. I looked at my buddies, I said, man, I'm getting in that band. and we all did, it was like, man, please. But it was man, I'm getting in that band. 4 years later, I went to I used to practice in this park, and this guy who was a film writer, story writer, he wrote a film, Three Black Brothers, and Horace did the music to it. So anyway, the cat used to see me practice all the time. He'd say, hey man, the Ark is playing over here, jam session, come on over there and play. And I actually argue with him for about 45 minutes. Nope, I'm not going, I'm not going. Come on, Mike, come on, let's go over here. You can sit in and just jam with the Ark. I was like, I was scared to death. Anyway, talked me into it. I went over there, jumped in, and met a few cats and said, hey man, I've been seeing y'all and I love y'all, and when I get it together, I'm gonna come, you know. And they took the number, and the next day, Horace calls me and says, Mekala Session. I said, yeah. He said, this is Horace Tapscott. He said, yeah, take this address down and come over to the rehearsal tomorrow. And I couldn't read music, you know, or anything. I knew what a scale was, or what a note was. I knew what it was on the page, but I absolutely knew nothing. And this cat said, yeah, come to rehearsal. So I actually forced myself to go, and I went. And I have to say, it was unbelievable, because pass out a chart, I could only stay at the first two measures, and read it all the way down. I said, oh man, I know they're gonna kick me out. I'm just thinking. And they read it down again, and I was stuck up there, you know, they read it down. I said, yeah, I know they're gonna kick me out, you know. Then I said, okay, everybody take a solo, go around the room. I'm like, oh my goodness. What, like the chart? Yep. And everybody started taking solos, you know, it gets around to me. The first time it got around to me, I said, oh my goodness. So I just sat there, and I looked up, and everybody turned around and said, play! You know, like, you know, I just closed my, all I knew was Scrabble. And I went through, and I'm thinking, I know they're gonna kick me out. I know, I just know it, right? And I stopped playing, next cat took off, a couple cats said, yeah, looked at me like, I'm like, man. So it happened again, passed out the next chart, did it again. Same identical thing happened, got around to me, but I didn't wait. I just, you know, so I did all that, and went all the way around the room. And Horace said, okay, the next rehearsal is blah, 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 blah. You know, I was looking at him, and nobody said nothing. I said, hey. I said, hey, can I take the music home? Horace looked at me and said, guard it with your life.
Okay.
I said, cool. I came back to the next rehearsal, played everything note by note from memory, because I couldn't read. So I just started memorizing everything. And Horace, I didn't know, loved that. Everybody loved it. I didn't know, I was just trying to hang. So anyway, it just started you know, a mentorship, a fathership, a brotherhood, all that. He taught me everything about music, life, and the one important thing he said, or a few things he said, but he said, look, music is contributive, it's not competitive. I said, wow. Then the other thing he said, look, you've been touched by God to play. It comes from him, it goes through you, so let it open up and let it come through. And I'm saying, it really comes through there? He said, yeah. It started making sense. He said, just open up, it's all right. And I'm like, well, how do you play? He said, chase your ears, listen to your ears. If you was in Africa and there was no music, no sound, what would you play? You would play what's in you. I'm looking at him like, wow, so it's all in you. It comes from there, so let it up. Let it happen. And I said, whew. 30 years later, he's so right. Everything he said was perfect. Because he said, don't worry about chord changes. Listen, let it come through. It's not about you went to not going to school or what. It's about the hookup, the spirit, because it comes from there. Once I heard that, I've been playing ever since.
Mekala Session, give it up for Mekala Session. Man, Michael, that was it. Thank you. You know, Kamau, your poem, Papa the Lingrio, is one of my favorite poems of all time, and how you say, Horace Tapscott is not for sale.
Ooh.
You know, I know when you opened up the world stage, you had 3 keys made, and can you tell us about those 3 keys that you made for the world stage, and how even Horace's spirit infused the world stage and the poetry movement, and how Horace went through the whole arts of Lamert and your record, Lamert Park?
Yeah, well, you know, there was a place called Artworks 4 that was around the corner, and a drummer, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Carl Burnett.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, you know, he had this place, and it was kind of like what the world stage was, you know. But he was constantly on the road with Freddie Hubbard and a couple other cats, and he really couldn't hold it together long. I think he was kind of staying there. So anyway, it folded. And Billy told me one day that, Billy Higgins told me one day that, you know, if I ever saw a place, you know, tell him about it, and we can see what we can do to get something going there, you know. And I was walking in Lamert Park one day and saw this space, and pretty much we copped the space. You know, Carl Burnett's chairs was out in the alley, a block away. Paid Cat $20. He loaded the chairs and the stage up, took it around to the world stage. The guy next door to us, the artist Ramses had a baby grand piano. He ain't no piano player. So I talked him into, you know, letting us have the piano player, piano, and then we took off the wheels and took his son's skateboard and wheeled it around to the world stage. So the world stage started off with chairs, a stage, and a grand piano. I had 3 keys when I got the lease. I kept one, I gave one to Billy, and I gave one to Horace. And the first music that was ever played, Billy was in there practicing, and then the Phantom, that's what we could, you know, Horace, because you never knew when Horace was going to pop up. I mean, you hold your head down, and then you see him over there with that grin on his face, and then you look down again, and he's gone. It was like, you know, but anyway, Horace came in, he just walked right over to the piano and started playing, and him and Billy were playing, and I have a tape recorder of it, you know, somewhere in my garage.
What?
Yeah, somewhere in my garage.
What?
You know,
Cool. What?
Yeah.
These cats been trying to get into my archives.
Yeah. Because you say stuff like
They
that.
don't belong. But yeah, so anyway, you know, Horace did a concert there, and after the end of the concert, we didn't do the PR right. Didn't nobody know too much who was there. I mean, you know, that we were even there. Horace played to a few people in the audience. You know, I walk up to Horace, I would say, well, Horace, we made 40, man, here's 20. He says, it's nice to be able to make a little money and just be able to walk home from here. You know, just to be in the community and make music. And he said, thank you, you know, and just went on about it. But he was there supporting, he supported us, he supported Fifth Street Dicks, all the jazz, all the festivals and stuff that would happen around there. And you know, they weren't paying, they had, I mean, you got 18 dudes on the bandstand, you know, I mean, how you gonna pay all these cats, you know, properly and stuff like that, you know? But we did it. We were there. We were always there, you know, over and over and over and over again, you know, and oh man. But anyway, you asked, the question was, how did Horace become involved?
Inspire the spirit of both your record, Lamert Park, but also the world stage and the poetry workshop is still.
But he came from a tradition. That's one of the core tenets of the art, in terms of. And this panel discussion in terms of transmissions. He came out of the Central Avenue movement. You know, he gathered all that. He played trombone with the Lionel Hampton band. The cats you know, at around 62, there was so many cats in the band that was out and wanted to play some other kind of stuff, and the bands kind of frowned on it. So they started UGMA, Underground Musicians Association. Later it morphed into Underground Union of God's Musicians and Artists Ascension. That's what it morphed into. But you know, but that's the kind of thing. It went from one thing to one thing, and so Horace was committed to this concept. I mean, he could have jumped on a plane, went to New York, sent checks to his family now and then, when you know, and made it big. But he was committed to being with his family and being in his community and serving his community. That was, and so that's the paradigm that we got. That's what we saw. That's what we emulated. You know, that this. Samuel Brown, the great music teacher, and Lloyd Reese. Lloyd Reese used to teach Horace and Eric Dolphy. They didn't have money to pay for their music classes, so they would come over his house and clean up his yard and stuff, and get the music lessons for free. You're talking about Eric Dolphy. I mean, you know, if you don't know Eric Dolphy, you need to find out who Eric Dolphy is. I'm saying that it was that kind of thing. Teach him with the love of Samuel. You know, and then the cats in the band. I mean, Lester Robinson, you know, that was Eric and Horace's best friend, trombone player, great cat. You know, this cat, and his birthday is tomorrow, I believe, isn't it, Renee? Yeah, Lester's birthday is tomorrow. And Lester be and then you be kind of looking, you young and kind of, you say, close your eyes and read the writing on the wall, young blood. Close your eyes and read the writing on the wall. You know, from the dandruff to the toe jam. You know, I mean, you know, and you be trying to figure this out, but then you get on you get on that trombone or take you over to the piano, man. You don't have to use all those fingers to get, you know, to get those notes. You can get the 13th note with 3 notes, and he'll show you some stuff on the piano and just boom, and you. But it was the spirit of teaching, you know. So you say, how could a young cat like this, you know, take over the leadership? You know, of a band like that, how could that happen? It's because this whole organization's been groomed for that. That's what this thing is about, passing it on. But we're also going to learn how to get paid for it now.
The Village Records got the Healing Suite just came out too from the Village, and you know there's 3 different record labels now putting out music by the orchestra. We got Nimbus West, we got the Village, we got the Dark Tree Recordings. Folks, get these records. Get these records, folks. Get these records.
Right over there.
Yeah.
Go talk to my friend Jesse. There he is.
Go talk to Jesse. Roberto Miranda, you were saying, you know, Horace, you know, led you into teaching just from playing with him, and I know you played 1,000,001 different gigs with him in the Ark and in different quartets and quintets. And do you have any, like, 1 or 2 stories about playing with Horace somewhere? You know, something memorable from a different story of you playing live with Horace?
We were at the Lighthouse in Hermosa Beach one time. And we were just about to get on the bandstand. And Horace had 1 foot on the stage, 1 foot. And his left hand came from just out of heaven, man. And he just crashed down on the low part of the piano. And I mean, the whole room just rumbled, man. I'm talking about rumble. You hear what I'm talking about? And the next thing I know, we are playing the fastest rhythm changes I've ever played in my life, man. I'm talking about bam, And and the whole band just kind of looked over at Horace like this, and he looked up at us, and the man had to have one of the greatest smiles God ever created, man. I'm really serious, man. He just looked at us and he smiled, and then he had this way of laughing. Excuse me. He would go like that, right? So
Just don't also doing like this.
and he did that from the piano. So the band is like tick ding ding tick ding ding tick ding ding tick ding ding tick ding, and he's like he's just laughing, and then if that's not enough, he just smoked a solo, man. It was like, this cat, Horace Tapscott, was a virtuoso piano player, period. This man's left hand had independence like any drummer I've ever heard in my life. Or tabla player, because his fingers, oh man, and then he was just like, it's just like, oh my gosh, man, he had such a command of the literature and the vocabulary of this music that you would just listen to him and learn. So that's just one story. That's just one story.
Kamau, you were going to jump in.
No, I just wanted to say this. I mean, just to give you an inkling of an idea of the depth of the greatness of this man, on a musical level. Towards the end of his career, he was on a plane to do a gig in New York City. I think it was at the Village Gate. So all the cats wanted to come down there and check him out. I got this story from the great pianist Randy Weston telling me the story because he was there. Something happened on the plane health-wise, and he lost control of his right hand. Yeah. He did the gig anyway with all these cats, all these great cats from New York. He did the whole concert with his left hand. Yep. And Randy Wilson said he did not miss a beat. Randy used to come to Tapscott's house when he came in time, and there was, I think, some sweet potato pie or something that he was sprung on. I'm just saying, can you imagine that? Going to a major club with all your peers sitting out there, and you do the whole concert, the whole evening with one hand.
With your left hand.
Your left hand. Mm. I mean, that's almost unbelievable.
Yeah. And I was playing bass on that gig, sweating. Look here. He never said a word, but it was like, Roberto, get ready, because this is not going to stop me. And he just smoked it. And I was like, phew. I was working as hard as I ever worked. Yeah, as hard as I ever worked. Yeah, I think Fritz was on that gig, wasn't he?
Fritz?
Yeah. That was something. Was that, Renee, was that Fritz Sonship? Do you remember? Yeah. Yeah, wow, that was something.
Man, thank you for those stories.
You're welcome.
Man. Jemetta, you have a new record coming out, and you were saying how, the spirit of the Ark has influenced your voices of creation. And tell us about how the voices of creation, you're breaking new ground, but it's timeless at the same time. And tell us, about the record and the name of your record and what everything you're working on.
Well, the record, It probably will be named after a title track on the album, but it is coming this summer. I think that what I want to share about that in connection with the ARC is people willing to explore their hearts and their interests for free. And like that teaching has a lot to do with being a student, and being a human, not only a musician or an artist, has a lot to do with listening. And I think that listening is what informed me to be able to make Voices of Creation. I feel like I hear everything as a sound, you know, as like a frequency of sound. And so it's just like putting that into words that will nurture us. For me, I write melodies and words, and so like I wanted to really focus on the words our minds are digesting, because we are what we consume in more ways than just eating or drinking. You know, what do you consume? What do you surround yourself with? And that was a part of making the choir, is that I wanted to feel the community feeling. And now being a part of the ARC and being able to expand that community, I think that for me, I just want to possibly make community choirs around Los Angeles, make community choral events that break the border between, or the barrier between a performer and a regular person or whatever. Because to me, we're all creatives, and we're all, like you said, what is within spirit, our God is within, whatever you call it. I don't get into like battles with people on who they believe in, but it's about letting that higher frequency of yourself guide your actions. And then like you get to witness yourself. I never thought I would be sitting on this panel with people that I would watch documentaries about, I would see as a child. And it's like to have only had the desire to find my why. And my why was that music is our universal frequency. It's the way we can speak without words, but then what words do we put to it? And so for me, it's about intentional living in every way, and the Voices of Creation has helped me witness that it's possible, because I didn't know that I was a teacher. You know, I just wanted to witness something. And so I submitted myself to whatever actions had to take place to see what I wanted to see. And then I saw that I was a teacher. It was like, oh, okay, cool, you guys. And so trusting that the people want to know that they are creatives, trusting that the people want to be empowered to know that their voices are instruments of healing. You don't have to just groan in pain. You can sing your joy, you can sing your triumph, you can claim the life that you want, and you use your words to shape it. And they use sound so that you might not have the words yet, but you can find it. And so that's what spiritual jazz is about. That's what the Voices of Creation is about. I think that that is what the spirit of this legacy is about, is making the everyday life, the blues, the ghetto, things that people feel are far away from their reality, making them see that actually you hear the reality all the time. You could be walking and somebody's right next to you cussing somebody out and you like block it out. But that's a tone, that's a, it's like, oh shit. You know, that's like bringing up some pace to your day, you know. And sorry about the curse, you know, it was one, you know, because you're cute. You're right here. I want you to keep on seeing all of it. But, you know, honesty. We were talking about Billie Holiday and being transparent. And I was very nervous about being a part of this discussion because I wanted to make sure that Horace Tapscott, Pharoah Sanders, Rasan Roland Kirk, these people that I found, I wanted to make sure that I'm representing black excellence. Rasan Roland Kirk was talking about black classical music, so they keep calling our music something, but we need to be able to use our words to tell them how we would like to be framed, how we would like to be seen. And I think that I'm a big part of that because as a black woman, you can get lost in context and being, quote unquote, a powerful black woman. How do you execute power? And I think that there's grace There's grace to be shown. There's love to be shown. There's trust to be shown. I don't attempt to be masculine in my power. My power is strong because it's mine, not because it's another. And I appreciate masculine power. It's like, and so finding this beautiful duet to sing together and to continue to sing, because the community needs to continue to birth itself and to dream. We can't stop. So don't stop just because I said so.
Hey, be on the lookout for the Voices of Creation record. Be on the lookout. Be on the lookout. It's going to be hot. Thank you, Jemetta. Thank you, Jemetta. Yeah, thank you, Jemetta. Mekala, we spoke about how the arc has continued, and from 1961 into it, till infinity, And now you are at the helm, and with your father. And tell us about both the Village record label and these upcoming events like the Red Cat and just everything into infinity.
Yeah, we're playing the Red Cat June 4th. We recently, kind of organized that one, put that one together. It's kind of been just like my personal mission to like get gigs for the ARC and kind of keep climbing the ladder, I guess is a way to say that. Way bigger gigs, more gigs. I mean, I remember growing up, like, even being in the ARC, joining at like 13, there was a period where the ARC maybe did 2 gigs a year, and that was probably like Central Avenue Jazz Festival or like LACMA every other year or maybe every 3 years or something like that. I remember when the Charles Drew Festival was a thing. Who remembers the Charles Drew Festival? But, since, so this all started, any leadership role I have in the ARC started with me graduating from CalArts and then doing what they told me I had to do, a graduation recital. Everyone has to put together their own show and then just present it to their, peers and professors. But it's CalArts. They let you do whatever you want. Like, there's no like boxes to check. So I figured, if I'm gonna do this, I kind of want to make it a really amazing show. Not everyone can just have the Pan Afrikan Peoples Arkestra at their grad recital. I can kind of do that, maybe, if I really want to. So I asked Pop, and he's like, yeah, we can do it, but you have to make the calls. You call everybody and tell them what you're doing. So I'm like, okay, I got like half of the numbers from him, and the other half with my friends. Dude, Benny Maupin played that show because he was teaching there that year. I'm like, dude, that's Benny Maupin, like coming to my like garage and like I'm giving him sheet music and he's like fingering it, and I'm like, dude, that's Benny Maupin. Anyway, so we do my grad recital, and it's amazing. It's great. You know what I'm saying? Like Bobby West on keys, and Dwight Treble sings a song, and some of the homies that used to come visit me at the CalArts library when I was working, like, and everybody who went there said it was incredible. My mom was there, a bunch of my friends met my beautiful mother. It's crazy. And so after that, Jesse Justice over there at the merch table, he lives down the street from Zebulon. He's like, dude, this place, Zebulon, is opening. We can do this show. We can just have the ARC play there. The guy that runs the place knows the ARC. We could do that. I'm like, yeah, we could do that, and we could sell tickets and like pay the band. So this is exactly, so I do it again. I just call everybody like, yo, we can play a show here and make it really good. We do rehearsals for it, 3-4 rehearsals, and it's incredible. It's an amazing show. We book Zebulon. We probably play Zebulon another 5 or 6 months after that. Other shows like the first Jazz is Dead show we did, and it just kind of keeps snowballing until we do New Year's Eve at Grand Park for like 20,000, 30,000 people, at the ball drop. It's like the biggest ARC. It's like 20, 40 cats up there, some with Jemetta and her choir doing a song for Ross G, who passed earlier that year. Like, it was incredible, and it was like the first time I didn't have to be like, crap, dude, we really don't have enough money to pay all these cats. Like, I have to pay like 20 cats. Like, and some of these cats I'm giving like 150. That's like not enough to pay Azar Lawrence, who, you know, played Hollywood Bowl later that year. I didn't have to do any of that. It was like enough, you know? And so again, like, back, you know, in the 70s and 80s when Horace was around and these cats lived together in one house, one thing they really wanted to do was go to Africa. And they were that close to doing it, you know? Was it Festac? There was this big festival they did like every year, something like that, where they got bands from all over. And they were really excited about it, and it didn't happen. And it broke a lot of the cats' hearts. Yo, I want to go to Africa with my family and my friends. I'm doing that. We're doing that, you know? Like, we're gonna get there. I want to play Hollywood Bowl with the Pan Afrikan Peoples Arkestra. I want to see that flyer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to do that with my dad and my best friends. We're doing that, you know? That's the bullseye we're aiming to hit, man. So there, again, I'm not doing it alone. I got cats like Jesse and Sam Lee and Fundi and Pop and Roberto and Kamau and Dwight and all of these cats where I call them and they pick up and I can talk to them. You know, I can ask for advice when I'm not sure something, or just ask to, you know, be there for the gig. We've done shows where like cats haven't played with the Ark in years, decades, that are playing with the Ark again, or cats who have never played with the Ark. Like, every show we've done since like 2019 or 2018 or something, it's like someone's first show. That's really important to me. Like, it's not just like a secret club where it's like just the old heads and their sons or grandsons. No, it's a community band. We really are for the community. Like, you should learn how to play in this band. Like, some of my, like, new compositions, new arrangements are being played in this band. Yo, y'all heard Flight 17 at Jazz Is Dead? That literally hasn't been played since it was recorded on that album that everybody has. What? Wow. That's crazy. I might be wrong, but that's kind of what I was like, you know, asking around. It seemed like that's what it was. Mm-hmm. But that's, you know, yeah, we're doing the Red Cat. I want to do like Disney Hall, like in Disney Hall. I want to do that. We're doing that, you know, like we're gonna get there. That's what we're aiming for, just up, out, straight ahead, you know, another 60 years, another 100 years, you know, our, you know, grandsons and granddaughters, their best friends, you know, like, I'm gonna be 79, that's mean. I'm gonna be 69 in the Ark at some point, you know, looking at all the new heads.
Man, spread the word. Who knows the booking agents at the Hollywood Bowl?
Yeah.
Who's here?
Give them my email.
We're getting very close to having a short live performance, but I'm gonna ask Mr. Michael Session one more question, then we're gonna get into our performance. But Mr. Michael Session, what is Horace saying right now? What's Horace talking, Horace in the spirit world right now, what's Horace saying?
I believe he's pleased. I really do, because the circle, you know, Horace is his godfather. You know, the Tapscotts watched me grow up in the music and find my wife and have a kid, you know, and playing all this music and stuff, and they found me settling down, and then I had him, and Horace, they were so important in my life, I mean, Horace, hey, could you be his godfather? He was like, hey, of course. So, and then when Horace passed, he had passed the baton, I guess, to me, so I led the band for the next 20 years, and this guy grows up and tells me about 14, 15, hey, Pop, when I grow up, I'm gonna take this over. I'm gonna take it over. I'm gonna, that. Yeah, but you did. I don't remember. He had joined my sextet, and we were, you know, the sextet, he was already in the Ark at 13, he joined my sextet at about 15. And we were rehearsing, and he was about 15 to 16, he was about 16. And me, after rehearsal, you know, we sit around and talk, and do what we do. And me and Steve were just sitting up, and Mekala was in the corner somewhere, and he said, "Hey, Pop, I'm going to keep Horace's music alive. I'm going to take this over. I'm going to keep it alive." And me and Steve looked at each other and we said, "Wow," And that's when he was about 14, 15. And we did his recital and all that. And he said, "Yeah, I got a gig at the some place, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Well, you call it." Because I said, "Well, how much is it?" And he said, "Oh, we're playing for the Door." I said, "The Door?"
Yo, we sold
and I
out.
said, "Yeah,
sold
but this was the direct, Zebulon. And so how it happened was, he said, "Yeah, Pop, it's for the Door." And I said, "Man, I'm not calling everybody to ask them to play for the Door, and I don't know the Zebulon." So I said, "You call everybody." And he said, "Okay." And I gave him all the numbers. My man called everybody. The place was packed to the hilt. We got more than we expected. And we all looked at him and said, "What?" So he did it again. A couple of months, a month or so later, he did another gig. He said, "Hey, Papa got another gig." I said, "Okay, call everybody." He said, "Okay, I'll call everybody."
But you know what? I think it's worth saying that in between these two gigs where we had enough to pay people, there was a gig where we didn't have enough to pay people. There was a gig that, somebody called me to play, and it just wasn't enough, But it was incredible to me that I could call cats, and they didn't really care how much they were being paid. It was their duty to play in the Ark, where I could, pay somebody $50, pay somebody else $100, pay the people that I know I need to give $150. And then Pop asked me, "What am I getting?" And I just kind of smile at him, because he knows I'm not really paying much. Yeah, but I learned it from watching him, where they would have to pay out people who they had to pay, and then take a bump, catch it on the next one.
Right.
I grew up doing that. So, but it's cool because we did shows for free where we didn't get anything at all. But at that show, there was somebody that booked us for that New Year's Eve show. And it all comes back around, and nobody's looking at me like that. Like, it's never been like that.
Well, actually, the Ark has always had that feeling when we were young, coming up in the Ark. We played gigs. We didn't expect cash. We didn't care if we got paid. We just wanted to play the music and just be in that umbrella, So we didn't care about the pay. So we still don't care. I mean, we care because we're older. Of course, we want to get paid, blah, blah, blah. But deep down inside, all the young cats, they're like, "Man, I love the Ark. I loved it just the way we felt." So I see this in the young energy today, which this is why I say Horace is very pleased, because I check out the young cats and they have the same thing we had in our eyes. And, "Yeah, I love it. Ooh."
Man, Michael. No, Michael, thank you, Michael. I felt that you could channel Horace. Thank you. Thank you for channeling Horace, man. We're getting ready for a live performance, but before we do, folks, check out Barbara McCullough's film, Horace Tapscott, musical griot. Check out this book called The Dark Tree. This is a fantastic book. Mr. Steve Izawari over here, who also helped edit the Songs of the Unsung, Horace Tapscott's autobiography. Central Avenue Sounds with Horace in it. There's the documentary called The Gathering, which was the live event at Cal Arts. There's a new record, The Healing Suite. There's records, Why Don't You Listen on the Dark Tree records, recordings. So there's Nimbus West, there's The Village. There's a whole slew of orchestra material coming out, so please spread the word. Spread the word, spread the word. And can we give it up for all our wonderful panelists, please? Kamau Daáood, give it up for Kamau Daáood. Roberto Miranda. Jemita Rose. Mekala Session. Michael Session. ICLA, and get ready to have your ears blessed. Get ready.
Mike the poet. Thank you, Mike Sonksen. Thank you all. So, we're gonna have a performance. We can get up, walk around. There's food. We're gonna cut cake and see the exhibitions. Thank you all. Stay for what's next.
That was a tune I wrote for Horace entitled Horacio. Horacio. So we are going to continue with another tune that Art likes to do, a spiritual entitled Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child. Where is Kamau? Where are you feeling this?
Wait now. You can turn up. So let's actually just like open it up before we do the bass line. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. First we can just like
This piece that we're getting ready to do was, it's a motherless child. And the poem is that we'll be doing with this is called Papa, the Lean Grill. I am Horace Tapscott. My fingers are dancing grassroots. I do not fit into form, I create form. My ears are radars, charting the whispering of my ancestors. I seek the divinity and outcast, the richness of rebels. I will pray for you on this snaggle-toothed, invisible piano. Songs for the unsung, whose lineage was fed to sharks in the Atlantic. I will concertize you into trance here in this garage, this studio downtown LA, you dig? I will concertize you, conjure spirits that will sing you into remembrance. On a piano so far out of tune it opens doors to other worlds. I will climb inside the piano, searching for our history. I will assemble a choir of unborn voices to teach you what the future sounds like. I will love you with the warmth of an African breeze. I walk these sacred streets, remembering cola nuts and cowrie shells and how well our uncles wore their trousers. I am Horace Tapscott, and I am not for sale. The eyes look inward as the story is told, voices painted in the dignity of old photographs. We have seen blood on the piano keys, cobalt chains and slurred notes, as truth wells up in the corner of eyes. Our richness, like honey stuck to the tips of singing fingers, with their palms held up in the gesture of prayer. Smoke thick as frankincense dance and pilgrimage fade like golden echoes at the porch of our ear. To have seen life move and smooth as a red dress on a purple spirit on a slow yellow day. Cracked open the moment, like children laughing, their mouths held wide, trying to catch the sun, remembering when our ways were straight and rooted, when we did what we had to do with what we had to do it with. Under the sheltering wings of family, walking straight lines to ourselves with spirit guides. Elders correcting children, the way folks held their heads, the gathering of smiles. Oh, singing fingers, oh, swell fire in this chest, we should know such joy. 1,000 eyes, watching children grow next to flowers as old ones pray over food, where men with shiny shoes swap tales and work songs. Men knotted at the gut level in a common pool of sweat, you dig. Remove their hats to pray, remember? And the women form bands of healing, quilting rhythms and tucking them into an arc of stars, sailing through hardships, deep changes will bring out the beauty of a song, where babies hide their fingers in gray beards, weaving teardrops and laughter into a bright cloth of collected wisdom, etched in multicolors on memory's wall. And love would hover in the room like the scent of good cooking and fall down like warm hands on the backs of travelers. And a family was a circle of love, and a community was a family. And we did what we had to do with what we had to do it with. Oh, singing road of destiny, blanket of night whispers, rose essence and spirit hum, flame wood and flame dancers and talking wood, street theater and heart sport, music oozing from each breath, kissing our ears like angels, the sacredness of strife. And Horace used to say, take time and give it to others. Take time and give it to others. The eyes look inward as the story is told. Voices painted in the dignity of old photographs. We have seen blood on the piano keys, cobalt blue chains and slurred notes. I am Horace Tapscott. My fingers are dancing grassroots. I do not fit in the form, I create form. My ears are radars, charting the whispering of my ancestors. I seek the divinity in outcasts, the richness of rebels. I walk these sacred streets and remember cola nuts and cowrie shells, and how well they wore their trousers. I am Horace Tapscott. I am Horace Tapscott. We are Horace Tapscott, and we are not for sale. We're not for sale, no. Not for sale.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long, long way I'm a long, long way from home. Can anybody hear me out there? Can anybody hear me? 'Cause sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Oh, sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long, long way, long, long way from home, 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 home. Where's home, home, home?
Outside the box is freedom. Inside their head are keys. The shackles that binds are the ones we accept. The heart that truly has wings. Outside the box is freedom. Inside the head are keys. The shackles that bind are the ones we accept. The heart. The heart. The heart. Michael Sessions on alto. Roberto Miranda. Mekala Session. Kamau Daáood.
for being here. We really appreciate your time and attention. Thank you so much, ICA. Thank you so much, Oscar. Thank you so much, Isabella, and everybody who made this happen. We love and appreciate you. Happy birthday, Horace.
Happy birthday, Horace!
Happy birthday, Horace. Big 88. If you haven't got some cake, get some of that. You know.
Yours is right here waiting.
Leave some for me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Praise the Lord. Great one.
Oh, yeah.